Have you ever traveled through time? We do it every day.
Asgardia is a country with a population of more than 1 million people from more than 200 countries on Earth. Asgardia gives everyone equal opportunities, no matter what their earthly status is.
It is possible to create and live in the future right now. Are you ready? Forward progress is the solution to the entire human race. Our mission is to bridge new horizons. In Asgardia, there is no limit to the universal development in the fields of technology, finance, and arts. Asgardia is a new space and digital economy which creates opportunities for the global economy. We deliver innovations. Do you want to get on board with us? We are developing various kinds of digital businesses, attracting them to the Asgardia platform that can be backed by the means of our umbrella, i.e. franchising of the Asgardia brand. We can not only attract investments into space programs from prominent institutional investors, but also affordable amounts from the citizens of Asgardia. We comprise of more than 1 million people.
Asgardia is a chance to realize one's dream. This is a dream-driven space nation. Asgardia is a chance to belong to a community of free-thinking enthusiasts, goal-driven dreamers, and fearless innovators, theorists, and scientists.
We are the first space nation. One humanity, one unity.
Asgardia.
We are creating
the future.
And here's Lambert. He's looking smart as a new pin belt.
Oh, good morning,
look, new headset.
Chairman. Oh, that's good.
Well, Lambert always looks smart. I think he's having...
Beautiful, beautiful heavens. All right.
I think he's having technical difficulties.
The world is awaiting you, Lambert. You're live. We are live, Lambert.
Let the countdown begins.
Nice fit, Peter.
Are you with us, Lambert? While he's busy, I should say, he might be on now. Are you on now, Lambert? No.
He's having earphone problems.
Yeah. Well, I should say good evening, good morning, good night, and good everything else to all of you, and welcome to the parliamentary session of the Asgardian Parliament. And very soon our Chairman of Parliament will be with us and will give us all of his pearls of wisdom and enlighten us in the paths of Asgardia. Won't you, Lambert? No, he won't. He may well try, but he will fail. You must be muted, Lambert. No.
We have ignition.
Oh, right. Excellent.
Well done, Peter. Thank you for jumping in. I'm beginning to think this is a takeover bid now.
No, you're quite safe. Quite safe.
People of Earth, I've got a new headset, but it doesn't seem to be working. Let me see if I can make it work for tomorrow. Good to see you all. My name is Len Batovic. I'm Chair of Parliament for Asgardia, the world's first space nation. Very pleased that you can join us on this, our second sitting of the second session of Asgardia's Parliament. a few explanations for the wider world. We are the world's first fully operational digital democracy. Nobody else has ever achieved what we've achieved. We've been operating professionally for 5 years now, and we have every intention of continuing. What you're going to see is unedited, it's live, there is no pause, there is no delay. This is democracy at its transparent best. I hope that you find it interesting. If you do like it, then get involved. There are many roles and jobs for people to do in Asgardia. See what you think. To explain to all colleagues, including our viewers as well, today is an operational day. It's about announcements, clarifying the agenda, and then tomorrow we do the really heavy lifting. We talk about all the things that we're voting about. My mission today is to take however little or however long it takes to go through everything. The maximum we have is 2 hours. The minimum we've ever done this in is 30 minutes. So let's just see what happens. Everyone has a chance to speak. I don't censor you, and I would simply ask, if you speak more than once, please try to be brief the second or the third time. It's just a matter of fairness. Let me start then with explanation of what we're doing. We have a 3-day sitting. It's a 48-hour session, in fact, a 50-hour session usually. That's because within the terms of the codes, I need to make sure that we have at least 48 hours. And we do this by starting today at 1700 UTC and finishing at 1900 UTC on the Sunday. Let me start with the timings. Today, we will finish at the latest by 1900 UTC, but normally it takes less time than that on day one. Tomorrow, we're going to start at midday, 1200 UTC on request. It's an experiment. And then we will finish at 2000 UTC. And on day 3, it will be from 1400 UTC latest to, once again, 1900 UTC. So those are the timings. What I want to do now is go to our interpreters, so that now that a few more people have joined, let me go to our interpreters, and they will tell you how you can follow our proceedings according to our really, really impressive chat rooms. Just by way of order, let's start with our Turkish interpreter. Very good to see you again. Over to you.
Hello, Mr. Rupik. It's very good to see you again.
Hello. I was getting worried there, but I can hear
Değerli
you.
Asgardia parlamenterleri, Asgardia'nın ikinci parlamentosunun ikinci oturumuna hoş geldiniz. 3 gün sürecek oturum boyunca Türkçe ve İngilizce eş zamanlı olarak tercüme yapılacaktır. Oturumun dilini Zoom pencerenizin alt kısmındaki küre ikonuna tıklayarak seçebilirsiniz. Söz aldığınızda tercih ettiğiniz dilde konuşmanız yeterlidir. Sizin tüm söylediklerinizi diğer dile anında çevireceğiz. Hepinize verimli oturumlar dileriz. Teşekkürler.
Thank you very much indeed. Slowly, I'm beginning to learn the miracle of Turkish myself by listening to you. Let's move on to our Spanish interpreter next. Good morning, Liz. Thank you for getting up so early.
Del segundo Parlamento de Asgardia. Como saben, las traducciones se van a hacer simultáneas, así que pueden entrar a sus canales respectivos para escuchar el idioma preferido. Y si tienen alguna duda, por favor, comuníquense mediante el chat o con la coordinadora del Parlamento o con el presidente del Parlamento directamente. Si no están escuchando, si tienen alguna duda. Por favor, recuerden hablar un poco despacio sin pausa, pero despacio para poder hacer la mejor interpretación posible. Así que si tienen alguna otra pregunta, pueden preguntar. Tengamos un lindo día. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Liz, and I hope you're enjoying your time in South Korea also. I'll I'll find a time to come and visit you if I do the grand tour sometime early
You
next.
must.
I
You must.
must see your family. That's very important. Thirdly, let's go to our Russian interpreter. Good evening to you, and over to you to say your words, Ilya.
Good evening, Mr. Hopik. Уважаемые господа парламентарии, добро пожаловать на второе заседание парламента второго созыва. Хочу вкратце напомнить вам порядок работы с переводом для тех из вас, кто им пользуется. У нас осуществляется синхронный перевод. Сейчас мы совсем отказались от последовательного. Осуществляется перевод на 3 языка, на русский, испанский и турецкий, соответственно, с них. Поэтому слушаете вы, находясь в русской комнате или в русском канале. Если вы хотите выступать, вы остаетесь слушать в русской, а говорите в основном канале, в основной комнате. Больше никаких переключений делать не нужно. И, соответственно, если вы говорите, никаких пауз делать не нужно, поскольку перевод осуществляется в синхронном режиме. Единственная просьба – говорите немножечко помедленнее, чем обычно, но пауз делать не нужно. Спасибо и удачной вам работы.
Thank you very much indeed. So those are our 3 interpreters. They work as a team, and any problems, then raise your hand, and we will fix any problems that you have. Also, you have chat box. The chat box is very lively. The new parliament and the new parliamentarians are even more active on the chat than the old parliament, starting with Jason today, who said "oh," and I like your picture, by the way, Jason. Very, very charismatic. And already we have many comments there. It's worth watching that. It's interesting. There's a conversation that goes on there in parallel to what we do here. One request, please speak at roughly the rate that I'm speaking now. If you speak too fast, it makes it difficult for our interpreters. So please keep at the volume, at the speed. Volume doesn't matter, the speed that I'm speaking. If I speak too fast, they tell me to slow down. If you speak too fast, they tell me, and I tell you to slow down. Just a request. Let me go through some two other points about interpretation. Some people use electronic interpretive systems. That's great. Please let us know if you find some which work really well. There's no substitute for human interpreters still, and there won't be for a long time. But maybe it's a 50% solution for all of the other languages that I hope we will one day have 12 interpreters for. Second and final thing, if you feel you have misunderstood something or you don't understand something, raise your hand. Let me know. You do need to raise your hand. Don't just put it in the chat. Let me know, and we'll go over it again. Everybody needs to understand everything that we are doing, and that helps us a lot, and it also means that we work together as a team without any confusion. So let me now continue. The interpreters are here for all of the time that I said, all of that time, until we finish today, which will be within 1 3/4 hours. It'll probably be less. Tomorrow from midday UTC till 2000 UTC latest, it might be less, and 1400 UTC to 1900 UTC on Sunday. We always use UTC because then there's no confusion. UTC and GMT are the same. There are some political reasons people call it UTC. I use that to avoid any conflict or any concern. So 2 other announcements. The first announcement will be about the running order, to talk about what we're doing today and tomorrow and Sunday. I won't go into great detail because we will talk about each day in detail at the beginning. So the announcement will be running order, and then also the second announcement will be about voting. And then I have a third announcement about the Executive Congress. And that's not directly related to our sitting today, but it's very relevant to our performance and our future activities. So today, we're doing the official opening at the moment, and we've started that. We're on the second item, procedural issues. Now, the recording of quorum and adoption of the agenda of the meeting. We officially opened the voting at 1700 UTC. You can vote on all of the subjects, even though we have not yet discussed them. Please do vote. You need to vote on the quorum, because if we do not have 50% plus one, then our votes and our decisions are not quorate, and therefore they are not official. It's therefore important, even if you vote for nothing else, that you vote on the agenda. Even voting against the agenda is still a vote, and that's fine. What matters is that we have 50% plus one of Parliament voting. So please do vote on that one, and you can do that now. Then the other parts of this are that tomorrow we'll be discussing, I'll just go through this quickly. We're discussing two pieces of legislation, the Asgardia Electronic Commerce Act. John Fine, who's with us tonight, will lead on that. Third reading. That means it's the final debate, and by precedent, we can make some small changes, but not major changes. That's a precedent I have established, and it works quite well. Then we'll talk about the Asgardia Space Activities Act, third reading, and Luca will be covering that, Luca Cereso-Valbo, who's been the chair of the Science Committee. Then after that, we have two editorial votes, one on the Asgardia Act on Acts, one on the Asgardia Government Act. Those are just tidying up numbers and things that are relevant to the changes we made to the Constitution. By adding things, we've changed the numbers, and we just need to make sure that the numbers are consistent. So it's not a debate about the content of the Constitution. Instead of, let's say, it being Article 3, subsection 2, it might be Article 4, subsection 2. So those are quite procedural, but we need to make that happen because it will confuse our successors. All of us will understand what is going on, but we need to make sure in 50 years' time, all those numbers are correct. So those are both procedural. Then we will be voting on the process of the selection of committee chairs, and I will explain the process. It will also be open to some debate, which is why you have not got a document at the moment. But remember, this is all recorded, and as such, this becomes an official record of the process and what we voted on. So the endorsement is of the process, not the chairs themselves, because on Sunday, I'll come back to that. That's when we'll be choosing some of the chairs. Then we have the election of the Deputy Chair of Parliament, but actually I will be moving that up to the item 2 because of just the availability of the individual concerned, Peter Morn. Then we'll be talking about the appointment of ministers, and our Prime Minister will be talking about those. I won't go into detail again, but you appoint the ministers. You do not vote for them en bloc. You don't vote for them all as one unit. You vote for every individual minister, yes or no, because that's the right way to do it. Then we'll be talking about the verification process. I need to make clear for those remaining people who have not yet been verified what we need. And all colleagues need to make sure they give the information that we discussed then. And it's well, we want to approve the procedure for that as well. Then we close day 2. Moving on to day 3, we'll have announcements. Then we'll be talking about the parliamentary committee system and be reviewing the past work and the future work of those committees. At that point, if you have not requested a committee, you will be appointed. So you have until 1400 UTC if you have not requested a committee. After that, I will, by 1400 UTC on Sunday, everyone will have been appointed to a committee because I believe that that is necessary. I think it's an important responsibility for parliamentarians to be on committees. Then after that, we'll have the summing up of the votes and then closing remarks, the national anthem and the close. And the close will be by 1900 UTC. So that's what we're doing. I'll come to you in a second, Daniel. We are flexible. If we need to do something else at some point, that's fine also. At the end of the day, our mission is to get humans to be born in space and to live in space. Whatever helps with that, we do. So that's my overview there. Just one more thing. If you want to speak, you just raise your hand like Daniel has done, and everybody gets the chance to speak. If you speak more than once, I expect you to be shorter the second and the third time, just so that we are fair with the distribution of timing. If my system goes down, then either John Fine or Peter Morn will take over until I can get the system working again. This works well. Those two have proved themselves very good at chairing in the past, and therefore they will, in order to maintain the momentum and the flow, it's more important we continue the debate than it is for me to wait for me to come back. I have 3 systems in operation, and so I should be okay. But if something does go wrong, then those colleagues there will make sure that the process carries on, as Peter did at the beginning when I was having a problem with the headset. Right, let me go to Daniel next. Daniel.
Hi there, everyone. Happy Friday. Glad to be on the call for the second Parliament seating. I just wanted to formally announce again my running for the Equity and Resources Chair, and I hope I can count on all your votes. I'm excited to assist with the successful launch of Asgardia, and I'm looking forward to the future and working with all of you and making sure that we make Asgardia a great nation. I have enjoyed every single session, and I'm eager to put the pedal to the metal and make sure that we're successful. And I hope I can count on all your votes.
Thank you very much indeed. Let me just say that that's a good party political broadcast. What I'm going to do on Sunday is I'm going to summarize who is standing for what. I intend to speak to colleagues just to make sure that everybody who has been in touch with me is properly listed. Also, if anyone is missing from my list, you can carry on campaigning. It's not you don't need my approval to campaign, but I want to make sure that we have a proper understanding of who's standing for what, and that's what we will start with on Sunday as well. If we are ahead of schedule tomorrow, I will certainly read out the people I believe are standing for candidate tomorrow, but we can have something of a dialogue about the committees a little bit tomorrow as well. Ariadne.
Sí, gracias. Lo diré en español porque tengo a mi intérprete Liz. Saludos para ella.
Thank you very much. I'll say it in English because I have my interpreter. I remember that we were requested a letter in which we had to define our committee. And if we needed to request a person for the presidency of that committee, if you send that letter is already in the hands of the coordinator and our president lend it. So we have to only wait for the committee and each one of you to elect your president in the committee. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ariadne. That's correct. The chair will be elected by each committee. And as I say, I don't want to go too much into the detail of the committees at the moment, because I would need to talk about all 12. As such, let's see if we can have a little bit of time tomorrow. Someone's asked me, yes, we can do that just after the main break, so halfway through tomorrow, and then I can give you some idea of who's standing for what. If we are ahead of schedule, and we might be because we are becoming so much more efficient, the interpretation system saved us many hours in terms of the time spent on doing the interpretation. At the very beginning, it was consecutive, so everything took 3 times longer. So then we can have some conversation about that. I'll make that judgment tomorrow. I also have not finished speaking to all of the chair candidates, which I like to do just to help the process. Just one other thing on this. If you do have any questions about your committees you're not sure about, then please do email me very quickly, because I will be allocating people at the latest by the end of the session tomorrow, so that everybody is allocated to a committee. Okay, thank you for that. Anybody else got any questions or comments about what we've been discussing? Peter, I have to tell you that your cat looked like a triffid. If anybody who knows the film, as it was waving its tail in front of you. Has the cat signed an NDA? Don't answer that question. You are going to answer that question.
She didn't sign it, but she gave a very loud meow.
That'll do then. That doesn't apply to humans, I have to tell you. We need more than that for the humans. Let's summarize where we've gone so far, because I have one more piece of exciting information for you today. In terms of our process, then when we finish today, we will start again tomorrow at midday. That's 1200 UTC tomorrow, which is, I guess, around probably about 0800 Eastern Standard Time in America, and probably around 1400 local time in Turkey, roughly speaking. Whatever time it is in Ricky's into the Philippines, in Ricky's part of the world, it's always going to be uncomfortable, so bad luck. Move somewhere else if you're not happy with that. Then the other thing is to say that the timing, the starting point is clear, the end point is clear, and then I do my best to allocate the time according to what's best for the discussions that we are having. That's really important to me. Then the other two things to say are that everyone is equal. There is not a hierarchy between new and existing, or new and veteran AMPs. Whether you were elected for the first time now or before, it doesn't matter. You're still here. If you are, and you're treated equally. If you are one of those people who is a minister instead of being an AMP, you have rights to speak as well. I never discriminate. I can see my old friend Ben Dell here, former Deputy Chair of Parliament. Everybody gets the chance to speak, because we're here to do the best we can. We're not here to play games about hierarchy, and I never do. And the last thing to say is about this, if you have views and you disagree, then say so. It may be other people who feel the same as you do. We only find this out by talking together, not separately, not apart. Any questions on that process before I go to three pieces of news? All right. Oh, Ben. Good to see you, Ben Dell.
Good day, Chair of Parliament. Good day, members of Parliament. Thank you for letting me have a short conversation here. It's regarding a previous comment of yours, Chair, where you said Parliament appoints the ministers. I actually found a discrepancy in our Constitution, which we might have to look at. A Constitution Article 33.10.d talks about the Parliament appointing ministers on the proposal of the Chair of the Government. But Article 34.4 talks about approval of the ministers based on the proposal of the Chair of a Government. So we have an appointment and an approval, which in my book is two very different things. Something that we might actually put on the agenda sometime and have a look at. I don't know what your idea on that is, but I do agree, without the Parliament approving every minister, and I'm very glad to hear that every minister will be approved on its own and not as a group, the ministers won't have any effective power or authority, because Parliament is the ultimate instrument in our democracy, which creates laws and approve laws. And I know that the head of nations got to sign it into action, but that is the work of Parliament to make sure that what gets to the table of the head of nation is the will of the people of Asgardia. So for all parliamentarians, I want to greet you and say good luck. Not good luck, but I hold thumbs that this session of Parliament is really what you expect it to be, and that the work that you produce here in this session is of future benefit to Asgardia for all times. And Lembit, maybe you should come to South Africa again and come and buy a new headset. Ours works.
Thank you. I'll come there. It'll be the most expensive headset I've ever bought in my life if I come just for that reason.
But
Here's the
it
old.
will work.
Yeah, here's the old one. This is 300 euros of absolute magic. This is the one I got after that. And here's the other one, which is 200 euros, but I haven't figured out how to use it yet. But the light's on now. It might work. I might try it before we finish tonight. But I will always find an excuse. If I do this grand tour, I'm sure you'll fulfill the criteria, and it'll be my honor to come to see you in Cape Town. I've no doubt about that at all. Also, the other place, the island state, we can talk about that offline as well. So let's go to Sanat next. Good evening to you, Sanat. Hope you're well. Need to unmute if you haven't yet, Sanat. You're still muted, Sanat. I can't hear you. I can see you're trying to make it work, Sanat. Just while we're waiting for Sanat, if you want to say anything, then please do raise your hand at the moment. Sarah, very interested in your proposal, just while we're waiting for Sanat. We should maybe have a conversation with that about that directly. Let me ask Aliona to fix a time where we have a quick 10-minute chat about your absolutely brilliant idea. That's Sarah Clark, if that's okay. Have you read all those books behind you?
Yes, most of them are textbooks or books. I am finishing my second PhD, so I'm kind of a knowledge junkie. So yeah, I have.
I love knowledge junkies. In a film called Here's a Piece of Knowledge, while Sanat's trying to correct his or get his system to work. In a film called Galaxy Quest, there is one scene where Sigourney Weaver says one thing, but it's broadcast as another. And I learned that by reading a lot about filmmaking. I can't say any more than that, but you can find that out. And also I discovered that the derivation of the phrase okay by reading a lot as well, which anyone in Japan can tell us as well. Sanat, you still got problems there. Okay, let me carry on. Sanat, you, as soon as you've got that fixed, then you carry on. You may want to log out and log back in. We'll be here for at least another 5 minutes, probably 10 at least. So you might want to try that. I can see that you hear us, but we do not hear you.
Yeah, I think I got it now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can do. That's great. And do 100%.
All right. No, what I was saying was that Bendel had made a comment that without the approval of the parliament, a minister cannot be appointed. And that is exactly what I was also trying to say, that the approval of the parliament is a precondition to appointment of a minister. So I just wanted to put this across. I think he is not disagreeing with me, but it becomes a pre-approval is essential for appointment. Appointment is only done after the approval. It cannot be done without the approval. Am I right?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, in terms of the wording, I should have said, this is an interpretation issue. Approval and appointment actually translate in similar ways in some languages.
No, they're not similar at all. Approval is mandatory. Appointment is secondary.
Okay, Ben agrees with that. Let me put it in different words so that we can I can explain what we do. Parliament is presented with one name for each ministry position.
Yes.
So we don't vote on two ministers for one position, two candidates. So we get, in an ideal world, 12 proposals for 12 positions. And then we decide individually, yes or no, for each of those individuals. So it is technically approval. We are being asked to approve the appointment. I think that probably is the exactly correct way of saying it. We are asked to approve the appointment of individuals.
Yes, but there has to be a process of approval. If you say if there's only one candidate, it's automatically approved. No, I don't agree with you.
No, I'm saying that that's not it. We don't have two candidates for any position. That is the responsibility of others, not of us. We don't get a short list. We get a list of individuals. We don't get a short list of 2 or 3 to choose from for each position. We get a choice of, we get the opportunity to approve or not approve the appointment of given names.
Yes. Yes.
It's different. Yeah. So I think
Ben, it has to be approved.
Yeah, we have to prove. We can't say.
And it can also be not approved.
Yeah, if Jim is being proposed for Minister of X, we can't say, well, we want Jane. We say yes or no to Jim. If we say no, then the position remains vacant. So we are being asked to approve the appointment. That's what you're quite right. I think as a note to Linda and Aliona, let's look at the definition. We might even want to make a file note on this. So that's helpful from both you, Sana, and also Ben. So we say, yeah, no, it's helpful. So we will get a minister propose a ministerial candidate for each committee, sorry, for each ministry. And we say yes or no. We don't say, well, have this person instead. Interestingly enough, early on in Parliament, when we restarted the government, we had quite a lot of strains and tensions at that time, but it helped to establish these precedents. And now we're applying those precedents. Anybody else got any, has anyone else got any other questions or comments now before I move to one other very important matter, which is not directly related to today, but it's directly related to this year. Okay, Ariadne.
Bien, gracias. Bueno, nuestra primera ministra
Thank you. Our first minister or prime minister has the faculty of electing her cabinet. That cabinet has already elected by her. She presented them and they presented their CVs. Now we have to say if we agree to work with them. Yes, she elects. She's not going to present us with Trade and Commerce Minister this name and this other name. She is already presenting us the person that she already elected with the privilege and the rights to elect that person. And in the case of the committees, I see that there's a few committees that want to, like 2 people that want to occupy the chair of the committee. That is completely different. That is each committee decides which one they want to keep as president. But that is completely different than what happens with the cabinet of the government. It is really, I think it's important to have cleared this up. So thank you.
Thank you, Ariadne. Yes, to be clear, the ministers are the candidates are not chosen by Parliament. The candidates are chosen by those who are not in Parliament. Parliament says yes or no to each individual candidate. Many of the existing ministers are going to be proposed to us again for appointment. And our job is to say yes or no to each individual one. One other question which I've been asked: why do we not vote for them in one group? Well, that's because you might like Minister A for Ministry A. You might not like Minister B for Ministry B, Minister B for Ministry B. So you do not need to be in a position where you vote no because there's one person you don't like, even if you like the other 11. So each minister is decided on a case-by-case basis. It is different for committees because the committees choose their chairs. So what we will discuss tomorrow is the process that we use to appoint committee chairs. We're not voting on the decision because if somebody on finance doesn't like someone on trade and commerce, well, it's not your responsibility. It's actually trade and commerce members' responsibility. So that's the difference. We approve the proposed appointment of individuals to minister. We approve the process for the appointment of chairs of committees. Anything else you want to ask about before I go on to a very important piece of any other business? Okay, let me go to any other business. 3 things. You can raise your hand for any other items, but now I will finish any other business before I take any other raised hands. First of all, we do start tomorrow at 1200 UTC. That's a 2-hour later start than in the past as an experiment. If it's good, we'll stay with it. If it's bad, we'll change it. We'll see what happens. And then on Sunday, it's 1400 UTC. And we definitely finish latest by 1900 UTC. Secondly, I have some work to do when it comes to the chairs of committees, and I'll be working on that primarily tomorrow. And I will see if I can find some time to clarify who's standing for what. But remember, you only get to vote for the chair of your committee, not another committee. Everyone also will be allocated a committee after the end of the sitting tomorrow if you have not chosen a committee yourself. And then the third thing is you can vote now for the quorum. You can vote for anything, but certainly you can vote for the quorum, the agenda, which is the quorum vote. And that will mean that when we get to 50 plus 1% of people in the, well, 50% plus 1 to be precise, then everything that we do has legal status in Asgardia. Let me move on to the other big news. We are hoping to have that executive congress in Baku. The expectation is that chairs of committees, ministers, and also the administrators plus the Supreme Space Council will attend. The expectation is you attend from 1 to 5 of October, 1 to 5. I will be there a bit longer, but that's for other reasons. October 1 to October 5. Baku is in Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan is a separate country. It has nothing to do with the conflict between Ukraine and Russia, the issues there. Asgardia doesn't take any involvement in Earth politics, but to assure you, Baku is a beautiful city, and there is no political issue with anyone from anywhere in the world going there. I hope that once we have the chairs appointed, which is one reason I really want to get them appointed this weekend as much as possible, then we can make the relevant arrangements. The arrangements will be discussed in detail later, but economy flight return and accommodation will be covered for the chairs of committees. Connected to that, I can tell you now that the aim is to have a full physical sitting next year. The idea is that once we've got ourselves back in the process of having physical sittings, and they take months and months and months to organize, then we'll be able to do the next one, do the next physical sitting in a place which is easy for everyone to attend. Those are exceptionally exciting events. We had a fantastic physical sitting in Tallinn, and the next one will be good as well for the same reasons, I'm sure. That's one reason I really hope we can get most of the committee chairs in place this weekend and the rest done very quickly after that. My last point before I go to Daniel and Sanat, I really hope that colleagues will quickly learn, new colleagues will quickly learn from older colleagues, experienced colleagues, how the parliamentary system works. It's complicated, but not difficult. Complicated, but not difficult. You should be able to learn it fairly quickly, but if you ever have a problem, then you just need to ask. And please, please, please do vote for the quorum and well, the agenda for or against. Just vote in that one. You can wait to change to vote for everything else once we've had the debates. That's your call. That's up to you. And also, please be aware that at all times you're able to contact me by raising your hand in this session or offline if you have a concern which you don't want to share in the public domain. That's everything I had. So after we take Daniel and Sanat, if nobody else has any other business, we'll close for today. Daniel.
So I had a question. How do we go ahead and apply for the co-chair position? How does the co-chair position get elected as well?
Do you mean the deputy chair position?
Yes, deputy chair.
That's appointed by the chair. One reason I talk with colleagues is because I try to get the right people in the right places. In every political system, there is always some degree of negotiation. I don't pretend. Most political systems pretend there is not, or they don't admit it. So at that point, I don't force my opinion on anybody, but I encourage people one way or the other, just because I see the big picture of who's doing what. So the answer is simple. Once the chairs have been elected, then the chair will appoint a deputy chair, but usually, not always, but usually they talk with me as well. I have no vested interest. I just want to get the right people. I want to get people who've got a lot to contribute into the right positions. And I'm careful because I do not ever try to coerce a chair into taking on my point of view, but because I follow what everyone's doing and I'm continuously watching and working with you guys, that sometimes is helpful to chairs. So that's how it happens. Number one, let's get the chairs in place. Number two, we get the co-chairs in place. This is like the deputy chairs in place, we call them.
Excellent. Thank you for that useful information.
And we can talk again about that on Sunday. It's an open system. Remember, standing for these positions is a competition, not a war. And you need to remember, everyone here is a pioneer. All of us are actually the history makers. In 100 years' time, it will be much less dramatic to be a member of the Asgardia Parliament because it'll be a normal thing. We are still the people who are making the future. We're making Asgardia great again, I think would be the phrase that Donald Trump might use. But we're never not great. We're just making Asgardia great. Sanat.
Yeah, thank you, Lembit. So when is the conference in Baku? Because the IAF conference is over by, I think, 5th of October. So if it is co-terminus, then it'll be great because then Asgardia can project itself also somewhere in collaboration with them.
That's right. That's why we're there. It's actually, I think the conference is 2 till 7. I think it goes. We're having our session. The Executive Congress is officially happening on the 3rd.
On the 3rd?
3rd of October. Yeah, provisionally.
3rd of October. Oh, that's okay then. Yeah. Because the Asgardia, the IAF conference takes place around the same time.
Yes, that's the whole idea.
And it will be great. And in fact, I'm going there also. I'll be there.
That is
In
great.
any
That
case.
the whole reason to do this is to have it in the big word is contemporaneous. The simple way of saying that's at the same time as that conference. That's why we've got that location, and also why we've got that timing. And remember that our head of nation comes from there, from that country. So it's a
Azerbaijan?
So yeah,
Really?
so we've got a particular reason to be excited by the idea of going there. It's just one of those pieces of serendipity, basically, which makes it relevant for us to attend. One other thing about it, the more that you can do in terms of promoting our presence there and everything else, the better. The fact that we have Dr. Asher Bailey's home country as the host for the big conference just makes it obvious that we should be there, and that's the decision that has been made. You might ask, why not the full physical sitting? It's difficult for it's theoretically possible, but the timing is quite short. And we talked a lot about this in Corfu, and we think it's practical, because some of the bookings have now been made, practical for us to have a physical sitting of the Executive Congress, and then we will have more time to do the physical sitting of the whole of Parliament next year. But that is on. Both of those things are on. Ricky.
Yes. As much as I would like to be at that one, with my with what I'm doing here in the Philippines, working on my permanent residency, I won't be able to attend physically, but there will still be the virtual attendance, right?
Yes, that will be possible. Correct.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure of that, because like I said, I'm working on my permanent residency for here in the Philippines.
Sorry, you can't attend. Are you sure that you can't attend even for a few days? If you're the chair?
The current visa I have right now, I'd have to start the whole thing over again.
Understood.
Right now I got like a 7-month visa.
Okay, well, we can talk about that. There may be a creative solution, but let's get the chair positions organized as well, and then we can see what we can do.
All right.
Jason. Jason. Not hearing anything at the moment. Let me just check. I can't unmute you, so you need to do that yourself, Jason.
Hello.
Yep, we can. Yep.
Hello. We will talk about the meeting for the people of the family. It's only for the chair and vice chair. So it's difficult. There's a small number of people away. But I'm just trying. But when the chair of the TPD and vice chair have the people to come in with them. Like example, if I come up, I need somebody to come with me to a chocolate for me that can hear the conversation. Would that be allowed or something like that?
Yes, anyone's allowed to attend. The Executive Congress, the people who will be sponsored, if you like, will be the 12 chairs of committees, the 12 ministers, the 12 administrators, and then the 4 members of the Supreme Space Council. Those are the people that says 40. But I think other people, I need to check exactly what the availability is in terms of rooms, but other people would be entitled to attend. The way to think about this is this is the precursor for the physical sitting next year. What we will be doing is making sure there are work plans, There is contact with that international conference, which Sanat correctly mentioned, and that we do the right thing as far as the narrative, the story of Asgardia is concerned in front of the global space community. But if you want to come, then just let me know. Let me see what I can do to assist with that as well. But to be clear, it's 12 chairs, 12 ministers, 12 administrators, and the 4 from the Supreme Space Council. That is technically the Executive Congress, but others won't be prevented from attending if you would like to do so. Any other questions or comments? Okay, one last thing. We're moving the agenda around a little bit tomorrow, so the deputy chair position will be discussed as the second item tomorrow, just because of availability of people. And the big thing is, everybody gets a chance to say anything they like at any time. I ask you to be brief if you can. I don't stop anyone from talking. If you take a long time, I find other ways to save the time. But tomorrow we start at 1200 UTC, and we'll finish latest 2000 UTC, but I expect we'll finish a bit earlier. What we need to recognize is this is the second sitting in the second session of Asgardia. No one in the history of the human race has ever managed a successful and sustained digital democracy, but we have. We have to do this because the only way that we'll be able to make it work in space is if we can make democracy work online together with physical meetings when we can. Just 2 other thoughts. I know when I meet colleagues, it is transformational. I went to Turkey, and Ferda organized a tremendously productive visit with Asgardian supporters and members there. And I thank Ferda for that. And I would like to do more of that when I can, as and when I can. And this, if I can do an economical trip around the world, then I shall do so. But the mission objective will be to make sure that we get many, many more residents from that. And the second thing is, you on Sunday particularly have the chance to discuss the work plans for each of the committees. That's important because the work of Asgardia mainly comes from committee members. And then they work with their minister, relevant minister also. So there's a great deal to look forward to. And if we get the committee system working strategically, and it was working strategically in many of the committees, then that will be tremendous. Very, very good news. With that, that's everything I had for today. But does anybody else have any other questions or comments for today? Sarah, maybe I can talk with you at some point in one of the breaks tomorrow. Yeah, then we'll just have a quick chat about that. John was live, but you've muted yourself. John, okay. I thought you wanted to come in. John, go ahead.
Yeah, that the meeting, the Executive Congress, I was reading online that that country, Azerbaijan, requires a visa, but it says they have a online visa system that's pretty easily to do. Is that, I don't know, have you been there before? Do you know if that everybody, like even from the United States, would need a visa?
On the first point, no, I have not been there before. On the second point, yes, it is straightforward. For your purposes, there will be no problem getting a visa from the United States. You will be able to do it. Yeah. I need to, if you have any questions about the timing, the dates, then I'm happy to help with that. But in terms of the visa, that is not going to be a problem. Sabahattin, hi.
İyi akşamlar.
Good evening, dear parliamentarians. I also I have sent as an abstract report regarding the Asgardian space games to the IF conference because I told them that I want to do a presentation. However, I have not heard back from this committee, from the conference organizing committee. But you have mentioned about the first one, I think ISC, which is going to be held in Azerbaijan again, which is an astronomy conference. And the second one is the Executive Congress from Asgardia, if I'm not mistaken, which will also take place in Baku. So in order to attend the IF or ICF conference, we have to pay a certain fee. And of course, if I'm not mistaken, most of the people here will not be able to attend Executive Congress because the costs or the expenditure of the attendance will not be reimbursed, as far as I understand. So for the parliamentarians, it requires an extra cost to attend the Executive Congress. But is there going to be any kind of monetary support from Asgardia for the Executive Congress? That's my question, basically. And also, if we are to attend the Executive Congress, are we going to be admitted to the international conference on behalf of Asgardia, for instance? Is there going to be such kind of an arrangement or entitlement? Thank you so much.
On the first point, Sabahat team, there might be some limited hotel availability. I need to check the numbers. It's really a bespoke situation where everybody who's on the Executive Congress, sorry, everyone that was unexpected. Everyone who's on the Executive Congress will have the economy flight and their hotels covered. You'll need to book your own flight, but we can help if there's a problem, and then you get reimbursed for that, and then the hotels are available. There may be a limited number of extra hotels available on a first come first served basis. That would check on that. On the second one, no, there isn't an inclusive ticket for the Congress, the not Asgardia Congress, the International Space Conference. That's going to be an additional cost for those who want to attend. I believe they have a daily rate, I think, and also a delegates rate. It's quite an expensive conference in my experience, but of course anyone can pay to attend. Thank you, everybody. I think we've covered everything today. We start tomorrow at midday. That's 1200 UTC or GMT. I'm looking forward to it. I think you'll enjoy it. The process we're using this time is the normal set of protocols. The previous digital sitting was a little bit different because we were setting things up. We were setting up the operating system of Parliament. This time we're doing Parliament. And so we have a lot to do, but I think we can do it quite quickly. My guess is that we will finish early tomorrow, but if we don't, the latest we will go is 2000 UTC tomorrow. I'm guessing it might be more like 1800 UTC, but I'm not sure. I'm not always sure. I know that these day one normally takes about an hour to 1.25 hours, and that's what's happened today. Looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thank you to the interpreters. Thank you to the team. Have a good morning, noon, and night. If you have to get up early, go to bed early. That's the solution. Go to bed early. Then there won't be a problem. And I know it's not rocket science, but what we do is rocket science. So have a good evening, and please do at least vote for the agenda. Jason's asking, is the list committee chair is going to be revealed today or tomorrow? It'll be tomorrow, Jason. I just need to do a little bit more work on that as well. I won't do it tonight, but in the morning, I get up very early. In the morning, I get up really early and start talking to people in the east in the afternoon, and then in the west just before we start. Thank you very much. We got to 56, so that people today, 28. So when we get to 27, we'll shut the feed. I'll see you tomorrow, and and thank you for being here. And
Oh, Asgardians.
good to see you. And thank you,
Bye-bye.
Rebecca, for all you're doing too.
Thanks very much.
Okay, see you tomorrow.